That whole idea of being under construction means breaking things down, breaking barriers down so you can move through and be into that space where you are meant to be. Whether you are building a career or building a business, it's about strategy and people. It's about learning, it's about growing, it's about confronting those things that are holding you back. It is Love Week, and I have a message for you, just a heartfelt message just from me to you. Is to remember that at some level, we are all under construction. And you're thinking, what? Where did that come from? This came from my walking wisdom this Saturday. I have been driving around and there's so much going on, and there's so much construction happening in Houston. I think the entire city is under construction. And I woke up Saturday morning. I had the pleasure of having my brother here, and I'm always happy when family is visiting. It's always hard when they leave. And he left Saturday morning, and I had been up 3 a.m. My brain just woke up again. And I had this vivid picture of myself surrounded by like these construction cones, those orange cones, and then the yellow tape that marks it off so you don't like step in the cement or into the man cover or whatever it is that's in the center of these cones. And the construction bars, that black and yellow, diagonal thing. I had all this vision. And as I was walking, because it had been raining, and I thought, no, I'm going to get this walk in. And then it started sprinkling as I got there. And I thought, really? And I thought, no, I'm just going to go. We'll see what happens. And as I started talking, I started laughing. And I thought, what a metaphor. What a metaphor. At some level, we are all under construction. At some point, we are all under construction. We're all in process of being built. Even when you think you've made it, there's still something else to be worked on. There's still something else to be built. And when you think about construction, the idea is that they're breaking up something to build something new. And I'm a lover of old homes. The older the better. I love them. They're such great, like old, heavy, real wood doors, not plywood, right? And the shelving in the kitchen cabinets that have all those built-ins that you pull out and it lifts up where you could put your mixer, the old appliances that used to last forever, which is why they don't anymore, because then you don't have to buy them. All of those old things, I love them. My family makes so much fun of me because I love these old things, old movie, old stuff. I just love it. There's history there and quality there. And yet, when you look at progress and all the new building that's happening and finding things that don't have lead paint in them and are solar powered or have different kinds of generators that are attached to them, you have to break up, right? Break up the new, bust it up in order to put something that is sleek, smooth, functioning, that can move forward with more speed, right? That can be smoother, going slow to go fast. And it takes forever to construct these new overpasses and flyovers and to fix the potholes. And you could always tell when it was a shoddy job, when it was something that was quick, because you get those big humps, right? Where you can clearly see they just dumped the concrete or that stuff they put in the holes. They just dumped it in there, packed it down a couple of times and moved on. And that eventually is going to just wear down or become a big divot, and they're going to have to do it again, right? And my parents always said, if you don't have time to do it right the first time, what makes you think you're going to have time to do it over? So my message to you this Love Week is, one, we are all under construction. There is something in all of us that can stand to be broken down so that it can be built back up, or at least kind of sanded down, maybe not broken, maybe just sanded off the rough edges so that it can be smoothed out and roll a little bit faster, create less friction in getting to the destination that we're trying to get to. This is year 7 of my business, which I'm still baffled by. And I look back at the 6 years, and it's very easy for me to look back and say, dang it, girl, you had 6 years to really have this thing moving the way you wanted to have it move. And don't get me wrong, it is years of amazing accomplishment. There are many, many, many women and others who have started businesses who haven't made it this long, right? Going into year 7. Very few have made it this far. So I'm very proud of that accomplishment. I'm very excited by and happy for and proud of my clients. They are amazing people, both the ones that I've worked with in corporate spaces who I love, and these entrepreneurs who are building these incredible cultures and businesses that are creating great spaces. By working with them, I've actually built my avatar through working with them. Right now it's clearer to me that shaving off the edges, that getting clearer, has actually happened through the work I've been doing with them. The core of the work hasn't changed, right? That stuff that I do, that genius that I am, has not changed. But those rough edges, that clarity that I always talk to my clients about, getting really clear, not only on who you are and where you are, but what you want so that you know what it's going to take to get there. Sometimes that takes time. And I've had the true blessing to be able to have people and clients and support around me to help smooth out those edges and get clear on what that thing is, right? But that meant being okay with busting some things down and breaking some things up. And it has been painful at times. And so as you are under construction, you are going to go through that pain. You are going to go through that discomfort of learning something new, doing something new, being somewhere new, being out of that comfort zone. And as I enter year 7, it is all about that last frontier for me that really only showed up in January of year 7, because we are only ready to hear messages that we need to hear when our minds and hearts are open to hear them. For those of you who've been listening to my podcast for a while, I talk a lot about those God winks, those divine downloads that happen, and we have to be open and ready to hear them because we're not always ready for the messages that are meant for us. And sometimes we are not looking for the message that is there for us. We're looking for the message we want to hear. And now in year 7, that message that I knew it was there. I just didn't want to hear it because it was hard, is that message about, you know what? You actually do have to ask. And I've said it a lot. We have not because we ask not. You've got to tell people the same things I say to my clients, right? The reason coaches need coaches, doctors need doctors, therapists need therapists. That whole idea of being under construction means breaking things down, breaking barriers down so you can move through and be into that space where you are meant to be. Whether you are building a career or building a business, it's about strategy and people. It's about learning, it's about growing, it's about confronting those things that are holding you back. It's about understanding that it's not ego to speak the truth about your genius. It's not ego to say how amazing you are at something, because that skill is something you worked hard to get. And in some cases, those desires of your heart are divinely put there because you have the skills, the capabilities, the ability to get it done. And you are put here specifically for that purpose. That's not ego. That is about putting yourself out there in a way that can make an impact that you are uniquely put here to make. So in this love week, I want you to think really, really hard about the construction zone that is put around you. What is being broken down? What is being busted up so that it can be moved out of the way? It can be paved over and smoothed out so you can skate right over that sucker and get to the next frontier. That place where you are shining and glowing and delivering the messages and the skills and building people up and making the impact that you are supposed to be making. The construction zone is dangerous. The construction zone is where you need to have your steel toe boots. You need to have your safety hat on. You need to have your PPE, your personal protective equipment. You need to have everything ready, right? Your safety glasses. In some cases, maybe you need to have the mask on to protect you from all the dust that's flying and whatever's in that dust. The construction zone is a highly hazardous area. And if you are well prepared to be in the construction zone, you are even better prepared for the outcome of the work that goes into that construction zone. When I did the Walking Wisdom on Saturday, my cousin, one of my cousins, who I love dearly, sent me back a message and said, remember, Grandma said you got to be patient, that we don't have a crystal ball. We just got to wait on the message. And I said, yep, you're right. Love you, cuz. You are exactly right. When you're going through that construction zone, you got to keep that PPE on, put on that armor, get ready, because there are going to be boards falling and nails sticking up out of the ground. There's going to be equipment flying at you because somebody else in on their guard and on their game. It is going to be a place of hazards. And if you have your equipment ready, if you have your eyes on the prize, you know what you are building, and you are very focused on what you are building. And where there is a plan, you are able to follow the plan correctly. And the plan is so good that you are able to adjust and flex and adapt the plan where that information that's coming to you in the construction zone tells you you need to adapt. You can make it through that construction zone to the other side to get to that thing that you have built, and it is going to be bigger and better and stronger and more fabulous than you ever thought. I'm taking my own advice here as I walk through my construction zone. My construction zone is sales. My construction zone is the hazard of being that person that keeps showing up in my LinkedIn DMs saying, hey, I really want to connect with you. Buy my thing. Hey, I think you're absolutely fabulous. You're so fantastic. How do you get your leads? That sleazy, snake oily, I'm going to pretend I really care about you, but what I really want is for you to just buy my thing. That, hey, let me get you all these organic leads because you are such a fabulous thought leader. And you know me 2 seconds because I showed up in your feed because you bought a list. That's my construction zone. Those are my minefields, my hazards. And what I realized is that through those minefields, I've been so concerned about avoiding the hazards, even though I had my PPE. I have people around me who are fabulous. I have clients who have the most amazing testimonials to give. In fact, when I told them what I was doing, they were like, "Oh my gosh, we got all these people ready for you. Just tell us what you want them to, what you want us to say about you. Tell us how many you're ready to take on, right?" Was so worried about those hazards that was stuck. I literally pictured in my dream my feet in those rubber boots, right? When you're laying cement, when you see the guys laying cement and they're in their rubber boots because they're walking across, kind of get it smoothed out. But at some point they have to be standing in the cement as they're smoothing it out, coming to the edge. I pictured myself standing in the middle of the cement with all the things around me trying to get at me, all the rebar. And I had to be careful about how I was walking through because I didn't want to leave footprints where I shouldn't leave footprints. And I didn't want to land on the rebar. Y'all, maybe I've been watching too much old NCIS New Orleans, right? But those hazards no longer were hazards. They were actual blocks. They were barriers. They were big old concrete walls that said, do not pass go. But I'm telling you, when you're in the construction zone, there are paths through the zone to the other side. Those orange cones and yellow tape mark the path to the other side. That PPE protects you from those nails that are coming at you. That dust that is seeking to get your lungs filled with stuff so you can't breathe. Those things that are falling on you to crush you, that hard hat protects you. Those safety glasses protects you from getting things in your eyes that keep you from seeing clearly. right? And I know I'm beating this metaphor to death, but it makes sense for those of you visual listeners, right? The construction zone is merely a path to the other side. And when you are almost there, the construction zone gets more hazardous. The construction zone is simple when you're just laying the foundation. It's a whole different construction zone when you're now up to story number 25, right? When all the scaffolding is up. And it even gets more hazardous when now you got the walls up and now you're trying to get all the plumbing and electrical running. When the elevators are in, but maybe you don't quite have all the chains together. It gets more and more hazardous as you get closer and closer to completion, because it just takes one little thing to throw it all off. That 1 centimeter off at the foundation may become 2 feet off by the time you're up to floor 24. So in this love week, I want you to reimagine your construction zone. Reimagine the strength of your personal protective equipment. Reimagine the value of your plan and the value of your construction crew around you. Those folks who are seeing hazards that you may not see, but also have the path out of those hazards, or around them, or over them, or under them if necessary. And sometimes you have to go through the hazard. That's why the path is marked, because you can't just go around everything. Sometimes you have to go through it to get to the other side. And in this love week, I want you to know that there are people in your village. Some you know, some you may not know yet, some you might be afraid to call on, but somebody there has got the pathway that you need to get through your construction zone. We are all at some level under construction. Every single one of us at every stage of our career, of our business, of our life. And yet, on the other side of that construction zone is something amazing. So do not, absolutely do not give up. I'm preaching to me today just as much as I'm preaching to you. That construction zone is merely the next step to the next amazing. And then there'll be another construction zone. But if we can get through this one, the other one is at least something familiar. Then we just look for the new hazards that we hadn't thought about. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Rutledge Perspective this week, this love week. This is my love note to y'all. I'm gonna put on my little glasses. I got these. Aren't these cute? For those of you who are just listening in audio, I found the cutest little, cheap, so they'll probably only last about 2 minutes, heart-shaped glasses, sunglasses. They're so cute. They're pink, of course, because, that's my signature color. Heart-shaped sunglasses that I'm putting on in the video. Go check out the video on YouTube and you can see my pink glasses. I'm trying to turn my head the right way so you don't see all the stuff that's on my screen as I'm recording. But I am really sending y'all this love note this week to say, hey, it's not just you. All of us are under construction at some level. All of us are under construction at some level. So just make sure you put on your PPE and keep it moving through the construction zone. Thank you so much for listening. I certainly appreciate it. Every single listen, every single download. Take care. Have a great week. You have been listening to the Rutledge Perspective podcast. Thank you so much for downloading and for connecting. You can find previous episodes of the podcast on my website at laurelrutledge.com/podcast. You can also find me on social media at Laurel K. Rutledge and/or the Rutledge Perspective. And I'd love your perspective on the things we talk about. And if there's a specific topic you want me to cover, just let me know. And please share this podcast with someone in your village who may need this little piece of perspective today. And if you're so inclined, I would really appreciate a 5-star rating and review on the platform of your choice. Apple Podcasts and Spotify reviews are particularly helpful. Thank you again for listening. Take care.